Language. It is one of the most important things to civilization, for before there was language, there was only chaos. One could even say that the language one country speaks will also tell us its history. An example of this would be the English. The English language is tainted. After being seemingly forgotten and reinstated over and over again, it wasn't the war that changed the language, but actually was the great vowel shift that, little by little, revolutionized the language that we now know as English. But what is exactly the great vowel shift? Much of its origins are shrouded in mystery, and nobody really knows why this movement started. One of the most accepted theories is that since the Norman French as a language became obsolete, the upper classes of society, disgusted that they spoke the same language as the lower classes, tried to differentiate themselves by changing the way that they spoke in small but meaningful ways. As the lower classes catched on to this, they too tried to speak differently in order to keep up with them, unknowingly putting motion in this giant train that we call the Great Vowel Shift. To understand the Great Vowel Shift, one needs to compare current pronunciations with old ones and put them in a special graph so they become visible to the naked eye. Let's take for an example these words. I want you to say them with typical current day English pronunciation and then try to say them with the early modern English pronunciation. Don't worry, I'll spare some time for you. Now that you have looked and eventually spelled these words, I'll show you what I mean by special graph. This is what we call a vowel chart. We use this to rank vowels based on tongue height, which is the y-axis, and part of tongue use, which is the x-axis. Now, what I want you to do is try to rank the words that I told you before in this chart with the modern English pronunciation. Like before, you will have some spare time. Now, as you can see, it looks like someone put a jug of water, making the vowels rise, to the point that some even overflowing and actually leaving the chart, sort of like a chain, because when one moves, so will the other ones. The ones that leave the chart are nominated as diphthongs, which is a combination of two adjacent vowels, which then form a syllable. The other ones still remain as a single vowel, with exceptions, of course. Although there are even more changes, such as consonant changes, morphological changes, and syntactical changes. However, the great vowel shift is much like a flame, as in, both of them brought forth a new age, but it wouldn't have happened without a spark. So, my question is, what was the great vowel shift spark? That's when Shakespeare comes in. Supposedly born in the 23rd of April 1564 in Snitterfield, William Shakespeare, also known as the Bard of Avon, was the third of 8 children and was the one who died last. Much of Shakespeare's life remains unknown, but at some point he was even forced to do jobs like killing sheep and disembowel bulls. Some say that when he went to London, he had to work at a slaughterhouse, as he was poor, homeless, and jobless. After that, when he started climbing the ranks, he eventually decided to leave the slaughterhouse in order to become an actor. With this, he became even more interested in writing, eventually becoming to what we know today. With his imagination and determination working in tandem, he was able to create some of the most important pieces of literature in the entire world, some of which are still rehearsed, studied, and played in current time. Even though Shakespeare did help a lot in terms of advancing poetry and writing at his age, it wasn't all him that originated the Great Vowel Shift. One could say that he had an accomplice, a partner in crime to unknowingly help him in this quest. So, who is this partner that I'm talking about? Well, it is none other than the Bible itself. Having been written by 40 authors and for nearly 1600 years, the Bible is one of the most important pieces in human history, as it not only defines a significant part of Christianity, but also questions the reasons of humanity and its existence. When it was translated to the English language, being renamed to King James Bible, it made a huge impact on the population, as the majority of them believed in some sort of religion. You could say that the Bible was critically acclaimed not too long after its arrival. However, neither Shakespeare nor the Bible would be able to revolutionize the English as much as it did without one crucial thing. Imagine you were living in the same time period as Shakespeare and King James Bible. Now let's say that you want to read both of them. How would you go at it? Normally, you would go to the library and go get a copy of each. See what I'm trying to get into? The accessibility of each piece is crucial to its success, so we got to hand it down to the advances in printing for truly making it so that everyone is able to enjoy them wholeheartedly. All in all, this period was not only one of a kind, but was the most important to English literature and culture, as it is the one that makes England truly stand out. While the other periods have been important in terms of history, when you talk about English in terms of language, poetry, and writing, everyone mentions Shakespeare and the Bible as fundamental parts to the development of English literature. It is with them that made English truly English.